Hello, Facebook. How is everyone doing? I don't know if anyone's around today, but I wanted to have a catch up with you all. Let's just see if anyone's around. How's everyone finding the current situation? I sense there's a lot of uncertainty and fear in the world right now. So if you're around and you're listening, just come and say hi. And yeah, so today I wanted to talk to you about getting your child to do anything. So how do you get someone to do anything? Well, you motivate them. So I was thinking about this and I was like, okay, as you know, I've been coming on here for eons and all I do is whinge about the fact that no one wants to talk to me. Most of all because actually, and it's helped me work through a lot of my triggers and my stuff, is because I'm very triggered by being ignored, which I think most of us are. So, you know, when you come on here with an energy to help people and you want to help them and you walk into a room full of people who effectively ignore you, you've got to have a lot of courage and a lot of self-belief to just keep on going. And after a while, it gets pretty draining. But I thought about it. And so with my empathy head on, because I'm always going to come and meet you in the space where you are, I thought to myself, right, what's going on for these people? What's going on for these people that they don't want to have a conversation with me? So I knew what was going on for me. And then I thought I need to shift my expectation. I need to change my goal. My goal when I come on here is to get people to talk and engage and to share, because my why is to spread the love and to get as many children learning what I teach as possible. That's not about my ego. That's about helping the kids that really need it, because this stuff isn't taught in schools. And I thought, how can I change my expectation? Because my expectation is to get you to talk. It's a bit like when you want to get your kids to go to bed. I'm going to get onto that in a minute, but I'm telling you this bit of the story if you can stay with me, because it's really relevant and you might be able to see it if you're seeing it from someone else's point of view. So I'm like, how can I change my expectation? So what if my expectation is just to come on here and talk to the people that want to listen, and to trust that even though they're not replying, right? Even though they're not replying, that they can hear me. And I have to trust that. And I have to trust that the right person will see the right video or the right message at the right time. And the reason I know that, and I work with a lot of introverted, sensitive children, and they will often say to me, well, the teacher thinks I'm not listening and I've been told that I need to contribute more in class. And teachers make the assumption that the children that don't contribute are that they're not learning. And actually, I learnt when I used to do workshops that the children in the workshop room that said the least will be the parents that gave me the biggest feedback about how they got in the car and they were full of it and they wanted to try all these new things and they were so motivated and excited. And I was like, yeah! So I mustn't make the assumption, so this is what I learned, I mustn't make the assumption that when you don't interact with me and you don't engage with me, that you're not listening, because that couldn't be further from the truth. And people only hear what they want to hear, need to hear, and I needed to learn how to trust. So I thought about that, and what happened was I kept coming on here and saying to you, why aren't you talking to me? Talk to me. Why aren't you talking to me? Talk to me. Come on, what's wrong with you? Why won't you talk to me? And all I was doing was we were getting into a power struggle. And the last time I came on here, I did a card reading and I was chatting away to you all. And then I kind of took responsibility for the fact that I was asking you to do something that A, you weren't willing to do. And I didn't really need to get into that because that was your responsibility. And B, that I needed to change my goal. So this is the same when you're trying to get your child to do something, right? Because you have two opposing goals. So at the moment, I'm dealing with a lot of children who are refusing school or who've got anxiety around school. So let's just take that as an example, or you could use bedtime as an example. We could do that one as an example, or doing homework or trying something new or meeting people for the first time. All of that requires a certain level of trust. And there's a lot of fear around that because there's a lot of unknowns. So at the moment, if you think about a child who's refusing to go to school, we've got two different goals. A parent comes to me and says their goal is to get their child to school and to stay there. That's the parent's goal. That's also the teacher's goal and the school's goal, right? The child is full of fear and full of feelings. And their goal is to stay at home in the comfy nest and not venture out of their comfort zone, right? So already we've got two different goals. And we're motivated by moving away from our pain or moving towards something that feels nice, pleasure. So, that's a nice salty caramel ice cream. I'm going to have that after my dinner tonight, so that I'm going to go for a run so that I can have that after my dinner tonight. I'm motivated by pleasure. Most people who come to therapy or start out in self-development are in a lot of pain. They're in a lot of pain, and it's mostly healing crises. We call it healing crises that will bring a client to therapy or to coaching. In my job, it's the child that gets brought to me. It's the child in the family that's the most sensitive, that's carrying all the feelings for the family. They're the ones that are in pain, and they're the ones that are kickstarting the change. But what happens is I start coaching, and this is what happens, and I'll come back to you in your bedtime and you and your child at school. In the coaching process, I've got two jobs to do. I've got to manage two opposing goals. So how do I do that? How do I manage meeting the parents and the teachers and the school's goal of getting the child to school and the child's goal of staying at home in their comfy nest? And what we think is that we look at things as problems. We say, well, we need to fix that. So if we can fix the child, if we can say, if only my child will go to school, this wouldn't be happening. That's not actually true, but what we do is we put the power outside of us and we give all the power to the child, and we say it's the child that needs fixing, but what about what's going on in here? So in the example of like bedtime, for example, your goal is to get your child to go to sleep so they have enough sleep, so they're fresh as a daisy, so they can go to school tomorrow and learn, right? And the reward for you is that you get to go downstairs and have a glass of wine and watch telly and do stuff. That's you're motivated by reward, but also reward for the child, that you're ticking a box as a parent and saying, I'm a good parent, I can get my child to go to sleep. Your child's goal is to move away from the fear of being in a room in the dark with their thoughts and their fears, and they can't do that without you. They don't want to be alone with that. So again, we've got two opposing goals. The homework thing. The goal is that you want the kid to do the homework without all the drama, so that they can go to school and the school think that your child is a good learner and that they're learning, and that's your goal. The child's goal is to come home and eat Wotsits and watch CBeebies, and they're not motivated to do their homework at all. But I think the mistake we make is when we're up in fixing and problem solving mode, when we're up there and we're trying to fix and control and cajole kids into doing stuff. I mean, how do you feel if you don't want to do something and someone makes you do it? Do you get angry with them? Do you ignore them? Pretend you haven't heard them? Do you try and manipulate them into thinking that you don't need to do it and lie? Do you totally freeze and don't know what to say and then just go, okay, and do it anyway, even though you don't want to? So those of you that have done my parent stress response training, it's on the podcast now. It's called Warrior to Warrior. You will know what your response is when you're in a power struggle with your child. And you know there's a power struggle because you've got two opposing goals, right? You've got two opposing goals. And you're all up there problem solving and controlling and fixing and trying to get your child to do what they need to do. But the thing is that the reason why they're not doing it is why? Is because they're scared. They're not willing to try because they're not motivated to do it, and they don't believe that they can do it. That's the reason why. I'm not going to get into that today. I mean, that's learned helplessness. That comes from overparenting. Let's save that for another day. Let's just park that for a minute. So they are not willing to try because there's nothing in it for them. They don't believe that they can do it, and there is fear there, right? So the way to get them to do the thing is not to shout at them or to cajole them and manipulate them and bribe them into doing it, is to help them with the fear. Now, all of us are sitting in so much fear at the moment. How are you all dealing with that? Don't know if you want to share. Feel free to type in if you want to. But I can guarantee that how you are managing your fear is having a knock-on effect on your child. And that's why I got the parents to do the training. Now, in the training, there's 4 stress responses. This is what we call survival mode, guys. When there is a traumatic, fearful situation, which is completely out of our control and we feel like we can't escape it, we go into survival mode. That's what our brain does. That's a healthy response to a global pandemic. But if you're a fight, flight or fawn responder, it's much easier for you to deal with whatever's going on for you when you're triggered. A lot of you on here, we came to the conclusion when we did the training, are freeze responders. So, in the face of that, your survival response is to go, which you numb out. So how many of you, like when your child's kicking off, just think, oh, here we go again, and just totally check out or look on your phone? Or how many of you are unaware of how you're feeling? I've worked out that a lot of the parents that I work with are freeze responders. They're not connected to their feelings at all. They're actually scared of their feelings and they're checked out from them. They're buried in other things, but that's, again, another story for another day. And so what happens is when a child has a parent who's a freeze responder, that ups the fear because they can't feel you because you're not there. You've left the building, right? So if you're a fight, flight or fawn responder, and you'll need to watch the training to know what I'm talking about. It's so good. Please watch it. It will help you so much. It will help you with what I'm talking about here. It will help you manage fear, and it will help your child as well. Because the minute you manage your fear, you're creating space for your child to be able to manage theirs, and you're also role modeling it to them as well. But if you are a freeze responder and you're not feeling anything, so you're not in enough pain to motivate you to change, so you don't know that you need to change because you're not feeling anything. And also your child is not feeling you, and that is scary. That creates more fear for your child. So if you watch the training, you'll be able to see which one you are. You might know already, it's just the 4 Fs. It's the survival mode. There's a lot of therapists and coaches on here, so you'll know what I'm talking about. So really, what we need to do is we need to help children manage their fear. We need to help them feel motivated to try, and we need to look at their thought processes around the fact whether they believe or not that they can do it, right? So we need to learn to manage their thoughts and feelings, or they need to learn how to manage their thoughts and feelings, and we need to learn to manage ours. Because when we're overparenting and overcompensating, we're doing all the things, and they don't know how to feel their feelings. They don't know how to trust their feelings. They don't even know what they're thinking half the time. So when you have 2 opposing goals, you need to drop the expectation and change the goal and make your goal working on the feelings, the thoughts and feelings. And thoughts create feelings. So for example, on here, let's go back to the whole resistance of you guys not speaking and me keep coming and forcing you to speak and creating this massive power struggle. The fear is probably created by thought, and I'm making assumptions here, so if I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong, of things like, I don't need to talk to her, I don't want everyone to think we've got a problem, what will everyone think of us, what was the other thing, I might get it wrong, I'm not going to do that because I might get it wrong, or I might say the wrong thing. These are all like classic unhelpful fear thoughts that most people think, so don't beat yourself up for having those. Actually just know that your brain, your reptilian brain, your brain that's scared is doing its job properly. Okay, so instead of me telling you off, that's the fight response, and saying, why are you not talking to me? And trying to force you into doing something that you don't want to do, it's much better if I can help you manage your thoughts and feelings around, the resistance. Any power struggle is fear. So, I remember one thing that my therapist said to me when I used to have a fear of judgment. So if you worry about making a fool of yourself or what other people think of you, I remember I was in Waitrose and I smiled at this man and he gave me like a really horrible look. It's like a contemptuous look. And actually, I read in a book somewhere that the way that we look at our children sort of carries more energy and more weight than what we say to them, because they don't always listen to what we're saying, especially if they're in their survival mode. And and so he kind of gave me a look of contempt and disgust, and I've obviously been looked at that way a lot by my primary caregivers and maybe by teachers, and so automatically that put me into kind of like this panicky survival mode. Like I was having what we call an emotional flashback straight away. And I remember going to my therapist and saying, "Oh my God, you said this man, he must have thought, why is she smiling at me?" And she was like, "Well, what did you think he was thinking?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, but he looked like he didn't like me." And because I'd gone all up in my head, all into panic. Panic is a sign that you're reacting to fear, not responding to it. And she said to me, "Oh, Lisa, do you think he might have just had really bad wind?" To which obviously I laughed out loud. And then that kind of dissolved my fear. And she said, "He might have been thinking about a gas bill he had to pay, or someone that he hasn't texted back, or, most of the time," and that did make me laugh, most of the time, people do not give a crap about what you're thinking or what you're doing. Even on Facebook, I know it feels very vulnerable to come on here and be vocal. And I'm not telling you this to make you do it. That's not my goal anymore. My goal is to just teach and share. And the people that want to embrace change and learn new things and teach their kids these things, because they're not going to learn them anywhere else, well, not at school, that's for sure, but you're very welcome here. And if you want to be a silent lurker and you don't want to engage, I don't want to put you into a fear state. So that was what my therapist taught me. And actually, when you start to unpick all your thoughts around what's creating your fear, a lot of them are rubbish. They're absolute rubbish. But half the time is, especially if you're a flight responder and you're constantly busy, you don't even know what you're thinking half the time. You're too busy like doing the next thing, like, "Oh, I've got to put the chicken nuggets in the oven and I need to go and do the school run. I've got to do this and I've got to do that." And you're running around like a headless chicken, and you never stop and put your hand on your heart and say, "How do I feel? What do I need?" You never do that. And so you're in this kind of firefighting, fixing mode. And that is a real sign that we're not feeling our feelings. And so what happens is we don't teach our kids to feel their feelings. And that's why I think, like, looking back on reflection, why the Energy Pod wasn't as successful as I'd hoped it could have been, or wasn't as successful as, as I wanted it to be. Because actually, there's a lot of people that aren't feeling their feelings. They're absolutely overwhelmed by fear and anxiety, and there's no space for anything else. And I didn't realise that they were in that space because they couldn't articulate it to me, because they didn't know what was going on, and also because there's no dialogue between us. So I was kind of like floundering in the dark, trying to control something that was completely out of my control. I always try and understand but I had to be brave and just come on here and call it and say what it was, because I was like, well, at least if I'm wrong, people will probably tell me I'm wrong. So I'm happy to be wrong. I'll take that, because I want to know what's going on for these people. They're showing up here and they're saying, "Help my child." But actually, what is going on for them that they don't believe that they are the person that could help their child the most? Because that is the truth. I had a lady, actually, it's very brave of her. I sent an email out to all of my newsletter list, and I was saying to them all, "Can you tell me, what would stop you from working with me?" Like, what I'm trying to understand your thought process, not to try and get people to work with me, because that's not something I'm in control of. That's a choice that everyone has to make. But for me to understand, like empathy, looking at the feelings, how is the client feeling? What is going on for them? Because actually, and we all want to make each other feel better. We all want to help each other to feel better, don't we? So that was my thinking. And one lady, God love her honesty, she wrote back and she said, "I've been on your," and she won't mind me saying this because I'm not giving her name away, "I've been on your list for years since you've been doing workshops, and I've been hoping and praying that you do the workshops again, because there's nothing I'd like more than for my kids to come on your workshop. And she wrote back, because to be honest with you, Lisa, we just would like you to do it for us. And I was just like, oh my God, the overwhelm. This woman must be so overwhelmed. And also she has a belief. She doesn't believe, like the children I've talked about, she doesn't believe that she's the woman for the job and that she could do that. She could be that person for her kids. And I mean, like, I believe that your kids chose you and you are the perfect mum for them. You are the perfect mum for them. And, you know, you can do it. You can do it. You just have to have the courage. You have to be willing to try, and you have to start working on your thoughts around whether you can do it or not. And you have to look at your fears, what you're scared of and what's holding you back. And normally that's a fear of getting it wrong. A fear of, I don't know, is a massive trigger for lots of people. Like when you ask them questions and they don't know, you can see them go up into a panic. They go up into that fight, flight, freeze form response, into a stress response. So if you want to learn how to manage your thoughts and feelings, and I've put 2 videos on here, one I put on this morning and one I put on yesterday, and they're really cute little videos. One is a teaser for the latest free podcast, which is called A Special Message for Tricky Times. So please share that with people who are struggling right now, who are feeling overwhelmed and stressed. You know, be kind and support them and say, I thought you might like to watch this. Why wouldn't you? Help them with their big, scary feelings. And the second video is talking about what's going on backstage at the podcast. So what I've done is I've created a series of courage chats. So they're like 10 mini episodes. Each one is about 10 to 15 minutes long. And step by step, it takes you from scared to smiley. So the thing that you can't get your kids to do, and you might want to watch it as well, because like, I think the number one fear is like public speaking. That was always my biggest fear when I worked in the corporate world. You wouldn't believe it, would you, to hear me right now? Because I never shut up. And you're not going to shut me up. And that's the other thing. If I give my power away to you and I say, well, they're not talking to me, I'm not going on Facebook anymore, and I turn into this child who feels ignored and hard done by, I become a victim of you, and you have all the power. And so I was like, fuck that. I'm not, sorry if the small people are watching, I was like, I'm not going to be beholden to the people that are refusing to talk. Like the fight response, which is an appropriate response. The anger in me said, no, actually, I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up for all the people that do want to learn. And I'm going to show up for all the kids that need to hear this stuff. Because it could be one day that someone finds this video when they need it the most, and that might make them feel better. And that is my why. That is why I am here. Can you hear it in my voice? Like I really am. So if you go to smileyforlife.com/yes, you're saying yes to life and no to your fears. That's why I've done /yes. You can hear the free episode about my smiley message for tricky times, about talking to children about how they can let fear be their biggest teacher, not let fear define them. And the 10 mini episodes. So I think one has gone up already. And there is an episode on stepping out of your comfort zone, which is kind of a bit of an introduction, like a preamble. And then I'm going to teach them my smiley spell for success, the sweet spell of success. And I'm going to teach them how to manage their fears, manage their thoughts. And I'm going to teach them how to summon up courage and to summon up that belief in themselves that they can do it for themselves. It's amazing. And I go back to the time when I think I was about 25 when I was working in the corporate world, and I had my healing crises and the bottom dropped out of my world. And I went to see a Reiki healer, and she said to me, oh, you must read this book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. And I literally read it because I read it 3 times in a week because I felt like someone had climbed inside my head and they totally understood me. And what it got me to do was it got me back in touch with my feelings. Because, you know, when we're not in touch with our feelings, we get depressed and anxious. So if we don't teach kids how to manage their thoughts and deal with their feelings now, the road ahead for them could be one of anxiety, depression, suicide and addiction. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that to scaremonger you, because again, you can choose whether you learn this or not. It's totally down to you. But I say it to you because And again, if you're a freeze responder, that's not going to trigger any response in you. You're going to be like, yeah, that won't happen to us. Feel what I'm saying. Feel the fear of what could happen to your child if you don't prepare them for life in this way. I'm not saying it will happen to every child, but if you know you've got a sensitive child, a highly sensitive child, or a child who's prone to high levels of anxiety, or a child that's insecure and clingy and that won't go to sleep without you, a child that's refusing school, now is the time. Let's use fear as our teacher. Let's let it teach us. Let's let go of the control and let's say, okay, fear, I'm here. I'm ready now. I'm ready for you to teach me. I'm just going to pull us all a card and see what the cards say. So yes, smileyforlife.com/yes. Say yes to life and no to your fear. Say, fear, you are not the boss of me. And I look forward to seeing you all backstage. I'll see you there. It's going to be absolutely great. Let's see what the cards say. And then I'm going to go and do some work. Anyone up for talking? I saw you all on here and then you all disappear. You all run away. And that's the thing. When I trigger you, you run away like frightened rabbits. And then you go, oh, I'm busy. That's a classic that I get all the time. Oh, I'm just so busy. I haven't had time. Busy is French for I'm not prioritizing this right now. Because I'm too caught up in other things and I'm not prioritising it. But if you prioritised your thoughts and your feelings, you probably wouldn't be caught up in all that other stuff so much. Imagine what it would feel like to have the space inside of you to just let go and trust without having to micromanage and think for 10 people and do for 10. Imagine what that would feel like. Imagine how that would feel. It would feel amazing. I was talking to a mum this morning actually about this. And we kind of compared, I don't think she'll mind me sharing, we compared that whole, the polarised goals of the child wants one thing and the parents wants the other. Of when the parent wants one goal, it's like they're in Scotland and the child is down in Brighton in the sea, drowning in the sea. And the parent's going, will you just come up here to Scotland and meet me? And that's how far apart you are from the child. Because you're fixated on getting them to do the thing you want them to do and not help them with their fear. Now, you don't go and get in the sea with them and rescue them. You stand on the shore and you cheerlead them on because you believe that they can swim to the shore with your guidance and love. Right? Come on, let's pick a card. I'm not getting any messages because I'm waffling on. It's just, oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh, wow. So I've got 3 cards here, so I'm going to take this one. Orphaned. Can you see that card? So I think a lot of us, and especially if you're a freeze responder, you probably emotionally neglected as a child. Now, this isn't about blaming your parents, but if you're not emotionally attached to your children, they feel very, very lonely. It's a very dark place when you live in a world where you're full of feelings and everyone around you is fixing, controlling, and not connected to their feelings. You feel like you're the only one and you're very lonely. So that's why I've got that card. It's interesting that, isn't it? So that's what the cards are saying. The cards are saying that actually the outcome for your child of not being connected or not learning how to properly think and feel, which we're not taught anywhere, so I'm not making anyone wrong, is they end up feeling like they internalize the message, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? So how many of you think, what is wrong with me or what is wrong with my child? There's nothing wrong with anybody. There's never anything wrong. There's never a problem. There's just feelings and thoughts that need to be unravelled. You know, like when your jewellery necklaces all get caught up in the jewellery box, we need to just get in the jewellery box and unpick them all. And obviously that takes time and patience. And then we can sort it out. But the minute we go, this is the problem, we get fixated on solving the problem, we've lost the connection to the feelings. All right? So, while I'm here, does anyone have any questions for me about the podcast or about how it works? It's really easy. You just go to smileyforlife.com/yes. You can watch the free episode, which is all about this special message for tricky times. to help people to feel better, to soothe their fears. And then there's a button to become a member, and you can have a weekly, monthly or quarterly membership, which is great. I would, again, don't think you're going to learn it all in 5 seconds. Like people are saying to me, which episode do we need, Smiley? Which episode is it for this? And there's not one episode. There's a whole piece of work that needs to be done around learning to think and feel properly. So if you are a fixer and a problem solver, and that's where you're putting all your energy, then you're not looking at your thoughts and feelings, and that's where the piece of work needs to be done. Okay, but I'm trying to not come on here with the energy of telling anyone off or making anyone feel wrong, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed. I think any kind of uncomfortable response that you feel right now is probably appropriate to living in these times. So instead of saying, oh, you know, what's wrong with you, and judging your feelings, just think, do you know what? I kind of get why I feel like this. You know, I don't know what's going on. Boris is bumbling away, not inspiring any confidence. You know, we don't know what's happening from one day to the next. I don't know what's happening with my job. I don't know whether the kids will be going to school. I don't really relish the idea of homeschooling again. All the things. It's totally understandable. So the kindest thing you can do is to learn how to take care of your feelings and manage your fears, which are just effectively your thoughts around it, how you see it, your perceptions. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that's, I really hope that's helpful to you, because I do want to help. I do want to help, and I kind of want you to understand it's very hard for me to help people who, you know, it's a one-sided exchange. So I'm coming on here and it feels like I'm talking at you. It's not a two-way. And that is my intention. And I hope that translates. And I hope you can understand that sometimes I get a little bit frustrated and irritated and sad when I come on here with such positive messages and such helpful teachings and I'm met with tumbleweed. I hope you can understand that too. And if we have this mutual understanding and I don't have an expectation for you to engage with me anymore, and I can just show up and share and hope that the right people see the right message at the right time, then, you know, we'll still be helping the other children. And, you know, I take responsibility for my business and my marketing. So I'm finding other channels and speaking to people where we can get the message out there. So we'll take that responsibility off your shoulders and back on mine. And to all the people that do engage with me, send me DMs, send me their kids' artwork, send me emails, send me text messages and say thank you. And all those that have bought me coffees, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And yeah, because like you as a mum, it's a thankless task, isn't it? Well, I know it comes with the reward of love and having the relationship with the child, but some days it can feel like a thankless task because you're endlessly giving and you're not filling your cup up. And when I'm sitting in this seat, that's sometimes how I feel. And so I have to take my power back and take responsibility for that and say, do you know what, Lise? You need to just stop giving so much to these people who really don't seem to care about their kids. See, and that's what I made it mean. So there's my thought process. No response equals, oh, they don't care as much as you do. Of course, that's not true. That's not true at all. Of course you care about your kids. But I'm going, why are these people not doing this stuff? Why don't they just... But I was getting up into your stuff. That's your stuff. My job is just to show up here and talk and share and educate and inform, support and help and guide. Not to tell off. Not to waggy finger. So I have to watch myself there because I don't have children, I think that can come across as a little bit self-righteous, and people could be thinking, oh, it's all right for you, Smiley, you haven't got kids. I haven't got kids, but I don't come at it from that point of view. I come at it from the child that's sitting in all the shit in the family, that's sitting in all the unprocessed feelings, and I'm trying to help them by helping you. Do you see? So I'm not coming at it from, again, I need empathy. I need to come and meet you where you are because you are the people that I need to talk to in order to be able to help your child. So it makes no sense, does it, if I get into a row with you with our opposing goals and I start creating resistance and I create more fear. Fear is the reason people don't talk on here. fear of judgment, fear of whatever's going on for them. And you know, I hear bad things about Facebook, and I don't really know if it's a nice platform for people to talk. And I've noticed that people do like and share the more frivolous things and the more jokey stuff. And then that gets my goat, because I'm like, well, I'm not down for that. I'm not here to piss about. I'm here to help people heal and prepare their kids for life. So can you see, we've got conflicting goals. So I can't change you. I can ask you to help me, and you can say no because you're grown-ups, but I have to then change my goal. So that's what are my choices? My choices are I have to have a different objective. And the more I have the objective that you don't want, the more fear and struggle I create. And the more you probably think, oh, shut up when I'm talking. But that's okay. You can think that. Or maybe that's my fear talking. Maybe my fear is that you will all think that. Do you see? So thoughts are not facts. They're just thoughts. And that's my fear of you not liking me, because I have a need to be liked. Do you see? Do you see how it works? So if you can manage that and manage your feelings, life gets a lot easier. And if you know how to manage it, it's not going to stop happening, because, you know, our brains are wired to move away from pain and towards pleasure, as I said in the beginning. So knowing how to manage that makes life easier. So please go to smileyforlife.com/yes. If you feel comfortable enough, you can put questions in the comments below. If you feel it's appropriate, I would really like you to like and share this video with people that might need to watch this, that might find it helpful. And if it isn't, you don't have to. It's your choice. It's totally your choice. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.